Thank you for joining me today. This is Charlotte Bergman. We are certainly on the move. I've been telling you guys this since November the 5th when you guys went out and did your thing and changed the direction of this country for the better. I'm Charlotte Bergman. I want to thank you for joining me for an unpolitical talk with Charlotte this week. We're going to discuss a few important topics. One of the main ones we're going to talk about is Democrats are crying in their lemonade. They're crying. They're crying because there appears to be an agreement between China and the United States over the tariffs. And then we're going to briefly talk about Tom Tillis. You know, Tom Tillis, one of the rhinos, when he rejected Ed Martin for Attorney General for for DC, and what President Trump did. President Trump is playing 8D chess, and these people need to understand that what they're doing is not serving them, because we the people are seeing what they're doing, and hopefully we will call them to task in 2026. So join me. We will be right back. Okay, guys, we the people spoke on November the 5th to state exactly what type of government we wanted. And I hear people saying, is this what you voted for when the Department of Education was shut down, when Doge went in and looked at a great deal of waste, fraud, and abuse? Well, for years and years, I've been around people who have been truly unhappy with the results that we have been receiving. You know, we've done the customary thing. I mean, when our Senate, our House members come up with some ideals about spending, and the American people go, no, 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 we don't want you to spend that money. And then they pass a bill to do an exorbitant amount of spending. And guess who has to pay for it? Me and you. So they apparently did not get the memo. Some of the House members and some Republicans that are still holding out to not do the right thing for the American people and to make this country great. Tom Tillis is one of those people. And let me give you the backdrop of what went on. President Trump tapped Ed Martin to be the Attorney General. It was so funny. He tapped Ed Martin for the AG, and Tom Tillis comes out being very, very conflicted, and he wanted to do the right thing, and he wanted to protect President Trump from himself. This Tom Tillis voted to confirm Anthony Blinken. Yeah, that Anthony Blinken, Janet Yellen, Lord Austin, Merrick Garland, Pete Buttigieg, the one that decided to take time off in order to nurse the baby that he and his partner decided to adopt. Well, this Tom Tillis had no problems voting for them. But when President Trump puts up Ed Martin, oh, Tom Tillis become very, very, his conscience is bothering him, and he wants to do the right thing. Let me let you guys hear what he had to say when he was interviewed by CNN. Let's see if I can pull this up. Okay, there I go.
He is, I don't believe he's being advanced to the markup. I met with Mr. Martin.
He's talking about Ed Martin, who has been nominated by President Donald Trump for the DC U.S. Attorney. This is what Tom Tillis had to say.
He seems like a good man. Most of my concerns related to January 6th, and he built a compelling case on some of the 15-12 prosecutions that were probably heat of the moment bad decisions, but where we probably have a difference is I think anybody that breached the perimeter should have been in prison for some period of time. Whether it's 30 days or 3 years is debatable, but I have no tolerance for anybody who entered the building on January.
Tom Tillis, bless his heart, he is not happy because President Trump pardoned the J6 prisoners. You know, those people who actually went into the people's house and they were walking in between the ropes in an orderly manner, and they were doing what they felt was the right thing, to go there to speak out about their concerns about election integrity. Yet Nancy Pelosi didn't do her job, and we have a reason to believe that there was some hanky-panky going on to frame those people. So Tom Tillis comes out. He is Mr. Super Senator.
January the 6th, and that's probably where most of the friction was.
I see. So he disagreed with you on that?
Well, no, I have to say that Mr. Martin did a good job of explaining how there were people that probably got caught up in it, but they made the stupid decision to come through a building that had been breached and that the police officers and others were saying stay away. So the difference wasn't that they should be charged, in my estimation, it's by how much. That's an argument I'm willing to have, but we have to be very, very clear that what happened on January the 6th was wrong. It wasn't, it was not prompted or created by other people to put those people in trouble. They made a stupid decision and they disgraced the United States by absolutely destroying the Capitol, and I can't have any patience for
It sounds like your concerns were not abbreviated.
But let me be very clear, though. Mr. Martin did a good job of explaining the one area that I think he's probably right, that there were some people that were over-prosecuted. But there were some, 200 or 300 of them, that should have never gotten a pardon, and he agreed with that. But the disagreement there had more to do. If Mr. Martin were being put forth as a U.S. attorney for any district except the district where January 6th happened, the protest happened, I'd probably support him, but not in this district.
When you say he's not being advanced to the markup, was he operating under that understanding that he's not being advanced through to a markup?
Well, I think Mr. Martin, I'm sure they're looking through it. I mean, be clear, some of the deadline has to do with the length of time he can operate as acting, and the administration can work through that if they want to have more time and potentially work them through. But at this point,
I would love to paint a huge T on his forehead. Traitor. Traitor. As I said before, the dude confirmed Anthony Blinken, Janet Yellen, Lord Austin, Merrick Garland, and Pete Buttigieg. He has no credibility in my mind. I mean, when the vote occurred with Pete Hegseth, who is doing an extraordinary job, we had to almost pull teeth to get Tom Tillis to confirm Pete Hegseth. And now he's enabling Democrat lawfare by refusing to support Ed Martin to allow that enemy, Judge Boasberg. He would allow Judge Boasberg to appoint an AG. I want you guys to know there's a lot of corruption that has gone on in Washington, D.C., and Ed Martin would have gotten to the bottom of it. And I believe that is truly why you get this pushback from Tom Tillis. from about four radical Republicans that need to be gotten rid of, and they need to start thinking about not only themselves but about the American people and to a getting this country back to a level of prosperity that we need. Tom Tillis refused to support Ed Martin, and that's unacceptable in my book. Now, let me give you a little bit about information about Ed Martin. See, President Trump tapped Ed Martin for DOJ. He was tapped to serve as the DOJ pardon attorney. What that means is when President Trump signed the executive order to pardon many of those January 6th victims who have been placed in jail, well, now Martin is going to become the guy that's going to deal with pardons. He is going to be placed in a weaponization role. President Trump, he's picking Martin to be actually to have a greater, actually it's a promotion. So when Tom Tillis and his posse decided that they were going to reject Ed Martin for the benefit of President Trump, which is a lie. You and I know that was a lie. It's just these egos are trying to ramp themselves up and possibly to defend their donors. Because their donors, many of them are part of the deep state who are not happy with the success that President Trump is having. Okay, so what happened was Martin Tillis and his posse decided that they were not going to support Ed Martin, and President Trump did a switcheroo on him. He played 8D deep chess. He played chess so rough that instead of them getting Martin, who is now serving in the office of the Deputy Attorney General, he's head of the new weaponization working group as the U.S. pardon attorney in the office of the Deputy Attorney General. And what did Trump do? He tapped Judge Jeanine Pirro on the shoulders. Many of you know who she is. President Trump tapped Judge Jeanine Pirro. And one of the reasons is if Martin hadn't been replaced, if Martin hadn't been affirmed by the 20th, and this is the 12th, Judge Forsberg would have been able to nominate and appoint somebody. So President Trump said, I'm not having any of that. President Trump appointed Fox News host and former prosecutor Jeanine Pirro as interim U.S. attorney for the District of Attorney. So the clock starts over, and I think he has 120 days or 150 days. Anyway, in that time frame, he's going to have enough to Cindy. Noni, thank you for joining me. Cindy, tell us how you really think about Tom Tillis. The dude just got kicked in the teeth. I mean, what can I say? You aren't going to outplay President Trump. And you guys are in a position to pat yourselves on the shoulders, on the back, because you guys gave him the strength and the ability to be able to make these changes. You can take this to the bank for what I'm about to say. America is back. America is back. Now, on what was it, Friday? The UK agreed to a deal with the United States for the tariffs. That's big news. That they are leading the model agreement for other countries to follow. In the interim, over the weekend, you had China and the United States meeting to discuss a tariff. And I'm telling you something. You can listen to the mainstream media all you want, but they've been lying to you. That's one of the reasons I do my show. They have been lying to you. They wanted to undermine the UK USA deal and say, well, they just did that just to save face. No, no. Getting that deal also encouraged China to come to the table. And here's what the trade deal, tell you what the deal encompasses. The U.S. is going to cut tariffs on Chinese imports from 145%, that's an awful lot, 145%. And when the imports were at 145%, China's ships weren't coming to the United States to unload a lot of products. China was hurting, and China was already in economic challenging already in an economic challenging position before the tariffs were imposed upon them. Their banks experienced almost a run on the banks. Their banks were in trouble. The manufacturers were in trouble. China was in trouble. And so as a result of them coming to the table, and another thing I noticed, the mainstream media is so desperate to make President Trump seem to be incompetent. I mean, they would rather see the United States fail than to see President Trump get a win, a W. They would rather, the mainstream media would rather see President Trump lose than for the United States to get a big W, to have prices to come down. But what's going to happen is these imports now, according to the agreement, down from 145% to 30%. And China is going to lower their tariffs on the United States goods from 125% to, guess what, 10%. That means when our products go over there, they're just going to be tariff at 10%. Now, this is a 90-day pause, but I believe it's going to last. I believe China is going to see some benefits, and we're going to see some benefits. China has been doing some things that have not been right in terms of people trying to do business in China. China has been stealing people's intellectual properties. China has forced people who wanted to do business in China to actually almost lose their ability to be successful. China would require the people, the business owners, to give China enough information about the products that the business owners were selling. China would replicate that product and then sell it for less. That put the business owners in jeopardy over there. China, it's time to pay the piper. It's time to pay the piper. Let me see if I have something. Let's listen to what this guy has to say about the concession of China, which agreed to reduce tariffs by, they came down 115% down to 10%. This actually matches the exact reduction the U.S. offered, creating parity for the first time in this trade battle. They would not have agreed to it if they hadn't been hurting. I want you all to know that and take that away with you. That information, there's no way they would have accepted that deal if they hadn't been forced to. I say President Trump deserves an applause. President Trump deserves our support of him for that. Let's hear what this guy has to say.
And so today, with this agreement, we come to agreement that that our reciprocal tariff rate will go down to 10% on the United States side, so it goes down 115%. We enter into a 90-day pause period for negotiations, which both the Chinese and the United States are very committed to, and the Chinese on their side also go down 115% to 10%, and they remove the countermeasures that they have in place. To be very clear, other measures that the United States has put in place in the past, whether it's tariff measures from 2018 or since, tariffs under other statutory authorities, tariffs related to fentanyl, those remain unchanged for now to the side. And so today, with this agreement, we come to agreement that that our reciprocal tariff rate will go down to 10% on the United States side, so it goes down 115%. We enter into a 90-day pause period for negotiations, which both the Chinese and the United States are very committed to, and the Chinese on their side also go down 115% to 10%, and they remove.
So there's no way, when the tariffs were first imposed on China, China said, there's no way that we are going to concede. As a matter of fact, President Trump is going to have to give in first. So based upon what I'm telling you, based upon what you already know, who gave in first? Who gave in first? Post your comments on my page. Let me know who gave in first. And I'll end with this little quick story. Tom Tillis was so concerned about the J6ers. They were the worst thing in the world. Many of you probably read and saw the headlines of the protesters that occurred this weekend. Well, I want you to take this away with you. Those protesters, the 3 lawmakers who were involved in the Newark ICE protests, according to what I'm understanding, they should be arrested. And I've got mixed emotions about this. But I'm going to leave it up to President Trump and his administration to decide what they want to do. But I'll tell you this. Democrats are showing their hands. While President Trump is going out getting concessions for us, lowering the tariffs, making life better for average Americans, Democrats are going crazy and pulling their hair out. Democrats have never shown that they care about the Americans. Even when the illegal immigrants were bused to various cities, they were put up in luxury hotels. They were given thousands of dollars to purchase food and to receive cash. Not so much Americans. These Democrats now, they're more concerned about Abrego Garcia, illegals, men being in women's sports, open borders, cashless bail, and DEI policies. Guys, I think something's going to change. And I think because America is back, we're going to see some really positive things. Let's see what Noni has to say. And thank you for your input. The difference in January 6th and this weekend's event was that the January 6th people were let in. You don't miss a thing. This past weekend, they were not invited in, and they actually were pushing and fighting the ICE agents. So, will there be repercussions? is it even worth it, especially since we're on a roll? I say let Speaker Johnson take care of it, but then that's just my opinion. We don't want to distract from the good things that are happening in our country. Prices are coming down, guys. Prices are coming down. Gas is coming down. We are going to be able to get back to a normal lifestyle whereby we can afford to make purchases. Do any of you, most of you probably weren't old enough to remember, but there was a time when fathers went to work and mothers stayed at home to take care of the children. And those children were not children that took care of themselves in the home and thus did not get so heavily involved in gangs and murders. Hi, Rico. Good to see you. Noni says it would be great if everybody can get along, but I just don't think mainstream media is going to allow that. And there is a lot of truth to that. There is a lot of truth to that. But as I was saying, I think with receiving tariffs, hi Rico, receiving tariffs to supply, to pay for the items that we need at the federal level, and allowing people to keep their money in their pockets, we may see some mothers being able to stay at home and raise their children and turn this trajectory around so that we can have a better society and young people growing up with principles again instead of young people growing up raising themselves. What do you think? Guys, I'm happy about what is going on in our nation. Keep praying. Keep praying, because as long as we are praying, we can keep that old bad boy away, the one who wants to destroy our nation. Remember, we are not fighting against people. We're not fighting against people. We're fighting against that old bad boy, bad boy who wants the destruction of this nation. We're fighting against principalities. We do not wrestle against flesh and blood, but against the rulers, against the authorities, against the cosmic powers over this present darkness, against the spiritual forces of evil in heavenly places. And we need to keep that in mind, because a lot of people are doing a lot of bad things. But we need to pray for them, pray for our nation, and keep doing what we're doing and keep fighting for our country. I love you guys. Thanks for joining me today. Please spread my video to people who may benefit from it. Please do. It means so much to me. God bless you, and I'll see you guys on Thursday for another show, Political Talk with Charlotte. I am Charlotte Bergman, and I am your host for Political Talk with